and we are here for the class of 2006. I'm here with Bobby Portillo, and I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Now, for people who want to know what uncensored is my way of showing people that even with a learning disability, I can still overcome controversy and reach my goals in life. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into a perfect example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities or disabilities in general. That you should never give up or have people label you, and you should prove to them you can still amount to something. Now, with that being said, I know you said you're short on time. So, starting off, what can you tell us about yourself, and did you enjoy high school and college?
Well, first of all, I just want to say it's good to see you again after so long. I believe it's been about 10 years since we graduated. Um, it was such a long time ago, and just thinking about it kind of brings back memories because I feel like such a different person now than I was back then. Um, I enjoyed high school in the sense that I was lucky enough to have friends. I didn't enjoy it in the sense that, in retrospect, I can see what kind of a person I was, as opposed to what kind of a person I am now, and it's a horrible experience for a lot of kids. I would say high school, and I'm happy that it's behind me.
Now, what were your favorite moments? What were your favorite classes? And where were you during the food fight?
Well, favorite moments would probably have to be in the cafeteria. I think that's where everybody had their kind of free time. Favorite classes, I was kind of a nerd before senior year, before that senioritis kicked in. So I would say chemistry or physics, one of the science classes. And for the food fight, I was actually next to someone who was participating and then witnessed someone else jump over the counter to where the registers were and try to grab money out of the registers and run out of the school. So it was definitely an experience, an eye-opening experience, the food fight. And then the national media attention that it got was also, it's definitely part of the memory of being a Monroe Woodbury graduate.
Yeah, absolutely. I never knew about someone stealing money. That's just screwed up.
That's what kind of world we live in, man. Wherever there's, a register, someone's going to be looking to get into it.
I thought about it, but I would never do that. Unless I was very desperate, if I was like living on the street, yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do to survive, but come on, it's like, it's high school. You really gotta throw that, especially you're on camera too, so you're not gonna get too far.
Yeah, I just didn't want to get hit in the face with some pizza, you know what I mean? So I was just happy to get out of there clean, but some people are gonna do what they're gonna do. But it was definitely an experience, it was definitely a time in high school where I said, wow, that's something I'll never forget.
Yeah,
what about you? I'm interested in knowing what year did you graduate? I was '06. Were you the same year?
Yes, I was.
So we didn't share any classes together, but we went through all the same things that individually we went through.
Well, I just want to clarify one thing. When I said stealing money, I don't condone that at all. But I'm not saying if it's a life or death situation and you're living on the street, like I said, that would be the only. If you're basically up against the wall and you need to do something, unless you basically look like this. You're on the street, you're either going to steal money to get yourself established, or you're either going to put a bullet in your head. That's the only time your brain would think that. But I don't
Of
condone that.
course. No, no. Well, there's. Of course, I'm in agreement with what you said. I'm much more interested in knowing what the experience was like for you because we personally never had any one-on-one contact prior to this, besides passing one another in the hallway, maybe. But I'm just curious to know what that experience was like for yourself.
Oh yeah, well, I was gonna get to that. I was always a part of the audio visual department. I hung out with Mr. Rowe and his assistant. I became high school acquaintances with what was it? I think Megan McGugart, Sarah Blocks, just Safina. God, I don't remember her last name. Meg
I think
Kling.
Safina Kleinman is what you were looking for. So we had a lot of the same friends.
Right. Were you ever part of the audio visual department?
I always liked to pass by the department, and I would hang out with the kids that were part of it. But I was always trying to meet be in as many different cliques as I could. I guess I was kind of a chameleon in that sense. I was on the wrestling team, so I had that aspect going for me. But at the same time, I was friends with some of the kids in the audiovisual in the AV department, so a little bit of here and there. But as far as the school experience was, how was it for you? I mean, we all say I can say personally that it was it was rough at some times. You go through a lot of downs and you think it's the end of your life, but you realize it's just high school. Later on, of course. And what was it like for you? What was it like for you going there? Obviously different from everyone else, and at a time in your life when it might not be the most confident period.
I would say, um, well, basically not talking about the school. I won't mention the name. Actually, I can tell you off the air about most of the stories what happened. Sum up the 4 years. Freshman year, I had my brother's friends who didn't graduate in 2002. I hung out with Dustin. Um, his last name starts with an L. Short kid, short black hair, with a chain around his neck. I hung out with Kathleen. She was the gothic girl. I hung out with Kevin. Hung out with Elise Brown, Suzanne, Sarah from the audiovisual department. And basically, I spent my freshman year in the lunchroom, hanging out with my brother's friends. And during that time, Mr. Roll came to me, because I used to sit against the wall by myself. He said, why don't you make something of yourself and come to the audiovisual department? So the following year, I went down and I joined, and that's when I became friends with Megan and Sarah and everyone. And I screwed up with that. I gave them the wrong impression of me. And I bet you heard some rumors about me that if you don't want to talk about it on air, but just some stupid shit that came up. That was my sophomore year joining AV. Junior year, I started my talk show, the Keith Andrew Power Hour. I hanged out with Tony and Andrew, so we did the Keith and Andrew show, the Keith and Tony show, the Extreme Power Hour. I was actually, if you remember the morning show, I was one of the pioneers. Because I told Mr. Earl, wouldn't it be nice, you have all these TVs in the room, wouldn't it be nice to create a course, let people get ready for college, let them come in, and you can train them to be a broadcaster, a DJ, whatever, what else you want to do. And I came up with, I'm just looking for something I can use, like this binder. And It wasn't as thick as like that. I came out with a pamphlet. I was like, today's um, Monday, and it's an A day. And then I talked about WWE. Then I talked about what on the news. And the person I gave it to said, "Oh, it's nice and everything." And then they threw it over his shoulder. I'm like, son of a bitch. I stayed up all night working on that. I pissed away a lot of ink. That's it. I want nothing to do with the morning show. I want nothing to do with it. However,
It was a
just
pretty cutthroat morning show. I mean, it wasn't Hollywood by any means, but it was definitely cutthroat in that sense.
no, absolutely. And when I gave up on it, that's when Josh Collins and Jordan Ganucci and everyone else said, "Oh, let's do the morning show." And I have social anxiety. I have panic attacks. I wish I was doing this back then because I wish I did a interview with you back then and worked on the friendship building like we're doing now. And this really helped me interact and open up and get to express myself more. And it's just, I kind of wish I did it then. But what pissed me off was they said, "Oh, that's our idea. We came up with the morning show. Right, Mr. O? We came up with the morning show." And I'm like, okay, I know I have a learning disability and I'm sometimes retarded, but, I came up with the whole thing. And, it's whatever, 10 years, they can believe whatever they want. But
10 years, that's right. It's been a long time. I think that's also something that's significant as well. The 10-year reunion's coming up. Are you going to be planning on attending, or?
I have possibilities. It depends on where it's going to be. This is what I said to the girl. I think her name was Jennifer. She's from Class 05, and she was organizing it for the Class 05. And the reason I bring up 2005 is I wanted to go, number one. I wanted to go to get some speaking engagements because people say I should get speaking engagements and get used to talking in front of audience, different people. But they said, "Oh, it's going to be in the bar." And I was like, "Yeah, that's not going to work because all I need is some drunken asshole to say, 'Hey, I remember you,' and then throw a drink or whizzing by my head." It's like, I'm not gonna get into any bar fights.
I think it'd be a lot funner than I don't think it'd be that bad. I would imagine that it'd be a funner experience than that.
Well, you wouldn't want to go back to the school. And what I was gonna say, that brings up my next question. You wouldn't want to go back to the school and have it in a cafeteria or the gymnasium. That wouldn't feel like it gives you closure.
I think that
Your honest
it would be nostalgic. It would be nostalgic to be in the cafeteria or in the school again. It would bring back those feelings of nostalgia. But I think ultimately it would be funner and a little bit, I guess funner is the word I'm looking for, in the sense that we would be able to see one another in a different atmosphere. So we all kind of had, we were forced to grow up together in one sense. We were forced to go to the same school together and we learned together. And now it's a different part of our lives for everyone. So it'd be cool to see everyone in that kind of light, I think we'd surprise one another with the ways that we've changed and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, wrapping up, if you had two questions in one, and these are very important. The first one is if you could go back in time to, I don't know, your freshman year or any time in high school, what would you tell yourself that you know now? What mistakes wouldn't you have done? And are you happy where you are right now?
Wow, that's you're looking for a takeaway from here, huh? You're looking from a takeaway kind of line. I I think that in retrospect, I would tell myself, my younger self, to try not to get caught up in the life that is high school, that is, the school, and try to picture a world beyond those four walls that we got so used to, so accustomed to for those 4 years. I made a lot of choices back then that I'm still ashamed of today. And I think, if anything, I would just try to convince myself of the fact that you don't have to try so hard to be accepted by the people that you think are your friends or your peers. And I already forgot the other two questions that you asked me. What was after that?
Oh, that's if you could tell yourself something in 10 years. Second one is, are you happy how far you changed, and so are you satisfied with your life now? And actually, I'm not throwing a new question. What is next for you?
Okay, if I can remember all those questions,
To make it easier.
I am satisfied with life now. I think that I'm ultimately better off for going to Monroe rather than staying in the city, which is where I think most people move from. The education was a good one, despite our best efforts to avoid the learning process. And I am doing well in the neighborhood. I'm actually still in the area as well. I'm still local to Monroe Woodbury, and what's next for me is, I think now we're getting to that point where if we do want to set roots down, it's that time. So I think for me, next would be to try to do that, and it would be in the same area, the same county. So another generation of Portillos, for example, are going to get to go through the Monroe Woodbury school system. So it's a cyclical determinant in that sense, but I think it turned out great. I'm happy I live here. I can't wait to go to the reunion if that still is happening, and I hope to see you there as well. I hope to meet you in person for the first time in almost 10 years.
Yeah, same here. Now, we'll wrap it up. Are you on Twitter? Are you on social media? How can your fans follow you?
You know what? I am actually not on social media. I don't have a Twitter. I don't have an Instagram. I have a Facebook, which is how we, of course, got in contact with one another, but it's more for that same reason, getting in contact with otherwise lost people. But I'm a big fan in trying to stay open to the world, open to things that are happening outside, not necessarily things that are going on TV or on the phone. And I would say that's the best thing someone can do.